One more time for the homies. Your name will go off. Sis times 3.
Okay.
Go off, sis. She's like, no. No. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Woo. I don't know. Hopefully I know how to act. What's up, guys?
What's up? Oh, good. Give me a second.
Let's chill out.
Stop. Okay.
Anyways. I don't know how to apple. Alright, as I get my life together, turn to a neighbor real quick, poke him real quick, and say, are you out of your mind?
Are you out of your mind?
Bro.
Is your mind out of you, bro?
You got your mind though?
Yes.
Oh, so weird. You got your mind?
That's right. You got it, right? Mackenzie, you got your mind?
On and good. You got your mind?
Stop it. Stop it.
Is you out of mind?
Eddie.
My mind is out of you.
Eddie, are you out of your mind?
I'm out of my mind.
Noah,
You
you
done
out of your mind?
Definitely.
Elijah, you cool? No, you're cool, huh?
Hey.
Are you out of your
He said
mind?
clock it, bro.
Rudy? You got your mind? Yeah, he said, are you?
You're
I'm on my for Jesus.
Dude, Eddie was walking. Did you hear that?
What'd he say?
He was like, technically we're always out of our mind. It was crazy. It was a whole sequence. You had to be there.
Can't be in our mind
Preach.
when our mind is in us.
Preach, boy!
Let them know. Anyways, yeah. So that's what we're talking about today. Is your mind. So we are on week 3 of our series titled All We Got. We've been basing this series around Matthew chapter 22, verse 37, where Jesus asked, what's the greatest commandment? And he's like, yo, to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And I realized in the Luke translation, he says strength as well. So we might do strength next week. Or we might do what the Bible says about. Or we might do a recap week. We don't know. So we'll see. Come next week. It's a surprise. You'll see what we're talking about. However, this week, we are on the mind. We talked about the heart and soul already. If you missed it, check it out on YouTube. It's there. Check it out. However, this week, we are talking about the mind. And I get it. Our minds are a very complex place, especially for us at this age. The mind is a weird place. There's a lot going on up there. I know definitely for me in high school, middle school, it was just constant, just all kinds of just nonsense going on. Maybe you feel that way, that just your mind is a place of just, you can't focus on anything and just there's a lot going on. And I feel it. Like I could never focus on the things that I wanted to focus on. I was focusing on like school and just negative people and just nonsense. And I feel for you guys. Because if I'm being honest, my personal opinion is I think you guys have it a lot harder in terms of your minds, your thoughts, what you're going through, than adults do. My personal opinion. Just everything you guys have to juggle from friends and family and school and memes and chores and extracurricular activities and TikToks and, boyfriend, girlfriend, I'm playing in a band, I'm playing basketball, I got this, and, my mom wants to go to lunch and like, what? I have homework to do, I have a project, I have all these things. I feel for you. Going through a lot. I get it. And not to mention, you're trying to learn the world around you. You're still trying to figure things out. I feel for you. And I didn't add TikToks and memes as a joke, because, people should be able to focus some attention on things they enjoy. So I feel for you. We're going through a lot. Got a lot to shuffle around in our development and growing stages. Your minds are working very hard. And then here I am, here on Sunday, coming up here and saying, you need to add God to that mix of already 100 million different things. And it's like, dude, I already have all kinds of stuff going on. I'm not trying to add that to this mix, this array, and that requires too much. And I don't know if I'm willing to really go through that. That's just a lot going on. But really, adding God to this mix is very simple. I'll put it like this. It'd be you're a homeowner. You got a house. We grew up. We're old now. We got houses. And Jesus comes and knocks on the door, and you let him in. You open the door. You say, come on in. And you just give him a tour. It's as simple as that. Show him around. Show him the living room. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You like this couch? It's new. You know what I'm saying? You like it? Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's cool. And you show him the kitchen, and he's like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool beans. Like it? Like the chefing you got going on? It's basically just showing him around the space that is your mind. Giving him a tour, letting him in, showing him around. But it gets real when you go upstairs. You go to your room or whatever, and you get to the closets, the dirty closets. And you're like, I don't really want to show him that. Like he doesn't need to see that. Or what I'm trying to say is when you get to the real junk of your life. Like, I don't know if I want to really show him that. Like, he doesn't need to see that. Like, I don't think he'd be very proud of that. But when you do, when he does open it, when he does go in and see, it's like, he goes in, he's like, yeah, it is a mess in here. And you're kind of embarrassed. You're like, it's gross. And he's like, no, I'm gonna clean it. I got you. Give me like 5 minutes, bro. I'll clean it up for you. You're like, what? All right, cool. So he cleans it up. You know what I'm saying? He cleans up the whole closet. So I'm saying is, with your problems, when you show it to him, it might seem like, I don't want to go there, but really he'll take it, he'll clean it, and make it new. But loving God with your mind is just the opening of the door. He does the rest. All you have to do is open the door. And via my research from this week, because I'm a scholar, I've come to these 3 things that really is what sums up loving God with your mind, what it looks like, practical things. And it's as simple as these 3 things. Dedicating our minds to knowing Him. Dedicating our minds to knowing Him. Thinking clearly and truly about Him. Thinking clearly and truly about Him. And understanding that it's more than facts or feelings. Understanding it's more than facts or feelings. Keyword or. So we're going to talk about all 3 of those a little bit. What it looks like, what it means. So dedicating our minds to knowing Him. One of my favorite verses. I probably use this in all kinds of different contexts. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the ways of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. I love that verse. Notice how I didn't have to look at the iPad? I know that. I love that verse. However, there's a second part to the verse. Notice how I got to look at the iPad now. But what does it say after that? By what? It says, do not conform to the ways of the world, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. By testing, you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. You get the transforming, the renewal, through the testing. You can't have one without the other. So whatever season you're in, whatever you're going through, by going through the daily battles, the days, the weeks, the months, the seasons of just, I don't know what's going on, but going through it, fighting the battle, even if you fall, getting back up, fighting through it, and then at the end, standing up and saying, you know what, I still believe even though I shouldn't. That's what loving God with your mind looks like. Going through those constant battles, understanding that you can't handle this on your own. If you could, the closet would have been clean already. And understanding, giving it to God, letting Him clean it for you. And really, you'll never fully know God. Like I'm saying, dedicate your mind to knowing Him. You'll never fully know Him. Sorry. But understanding just a piece of Him is what gets the life change. That's what gets things moving and pushing. I think of Mark chapter 5, the story of the bleeding woman. My homegirl, she was bleeding. She was suffering for 12 years. That's a long time to be in pain. And so she says, in Mark chapter 5, verse 28, she says, if I touch even His garments, I will be made well. That's it. She doesn't say if I had a one-on-one sit down or if I heard Him preach for hours at me or... No, if I just touch His garments, if I just got a piece, I'll be good. So she does exactly that. She had the faith, the determination, the will to get to that. And so she does. She touches the garments and she's made well. She didn't get a hug. She didn't get the handshake, full sermon, nothing like that. She just got a piece, and that's what changed her entire life. Just get a piece of it to understand. So the next thing, thinking clearly and truly about Him. 1 Peter 5:8 says, be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. Let's go to the classic story, Adam and Eve. Eve was not thinking very sober-mindedly. And by sober-minded, I don't mean like drunk or high. I mean like thinking straight. You weirdos, you druggies. I know. So I think of Adam and Eve. So if you're kind of like, I'm not fully sure about the story, here, I'll let you know. So basically, God created the earth, and he made this garden, put Adam and Eve in it, and he was like, yo, have fun in this garden. Like, this is yours. But like, there's this one tree. It's of like sin and evil. It's in this one tree. Like, don't touch that. Like every other tree, like there's hundreds of other trees. There's a lot going on here. Like, check those out. But like this tree, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Sin and evil. You don't want to deal with those. So then the serpent, or Satan, comes around and it's like, did God really say, like, don't touch that tree? Like, why would he do that? Like, did God really say that? And Eve reacts well to this initially. She repeats back what God said. Like, no, that's the tree of sin and evil. I was told not to touch that. Like, if we eat that, we dead. Like, I'm not dealing with that right now. But then the serpent responds back to that and says, you will surely not die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you'll be like God, knowing good and evil. You'll know everything. You'll be more like him, so he'll love you more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good. And this is the part that gets me. Genesis 3:6. So Eve responds to that. It says, so when Eve saw that the tree was good for food and a delight to the eyes, what? What? This is the tree of sin and evil, and you think it looks like it's going to taste good and it looks cute. Like, what? Like, that's not what we're dealing with here. So the point I'm trying to make is that the devil's going to try to twist what you already know that God's spoken to you. He's going to try to twist it to turn you away from him. It was much more than that. It was the sin of the world, but I mean, it looks good. Like, it might taste good, you know what I'm saying? It's a cool little tree. He's going to try to twist what you know to turn you away from it. He's going to try to give you the thoughts of, well, like what's really pushing too far with my girlfriend? Like, that's like, you know, like, I'm not going all the way. Like, I'm getting there, but like, that's not really going all the way. Or like, so what if I watch porn like a couple times a week? Like, that's whatever. Like I'm not, like, it's not a real person. Like, that's whatever. Like, is it really, did God say that? I don't remember him saying that. Or like, so what if I'm like talking bad about a person, but like, it's not to their face? Like, they're not gonna know. Like, what harm does this do? Like, I'm not doing them any harm. It's whatever. He's gonna try to twist the things that you know are wrong, so you do them to push you away from God. But really, you know, you've been taught, you've read, you've seen it. You know what's right and wrong. It's just a matter of enacting on it, of doing something about it, of applying what you know, the knowledge you've seen and heard, and not getting it twisted, knowing it for the facts. And also understanding that it's more than facts or feelings, because you need both. Proverbs 19:12 says, desire without knowledge is not good, and whoever makes haste with his feet misses his way. So the big part, desire without knowledge is not good. So you need both. Jesus got through temptations by reciting scripture back, by knowing what God said, having it on hand to fight back when the devil tried to twist God's word to him. He fought back with God's actual words. He knew. He fought back with that knowledge. That knowledge is key. You need it. It'll get you through the tough seasons, the storms. That knowledge, that understanding. Because if you don't have it, if you're relying too hard on feelings, when times get rough and the feelings are gone, what are you left with? You need that knowledge on tap. But really, passion and the mind go hand in hand. You can't have knowledge and not feelings, because then you're just a robot who's just reciting stuff. Like, yeah, I go to church and like, I know what's right and wrong, and like, it's cool, whatever. Like, I know God's real. Like, it's cool. But you can't have that either. A quote I read from this big pastor named John Piper, I think sums it up really well. It says, if a person doesn't move from intellectual awareness of God, so that basic understanding that, like, yeah, I know God's real, like, it's whatever. The person doesn't go from intellectual awareness of God and right thinking about God to an emotional embrace of God, he has not yet loved God with his mind. The mind has not yet loved until it hands off its thoughts to the emotions where they're embraced. And then the mind and the heart are working in what feels like harmony. And you experience it as both intellectual and affectional love for God. What good is a relationship without some affection? Some emotional feel of, yeah, I'm really in love. Like, you need that as part of the relationship as well. Because having that emotional embrace as well can help you in the tough seasons to want to get back to the knowledge so that you can get through it. The harmony, you need both. So you can't have one without the other. You need a bit of both. It's easy to rely on one and not the other, but really you need a bit of both. So I want to ask, just which one do you need? More facts? You need to equip yourself with knowledge a bit more? Or maybe you need to embrace God a bit more and understand that He died for you, He loves you. So 3 practical steps. Dedicate our minds to knowing Him. Think clearly and truly about Him. And understand that it's more than facts or feelings. We can apply this right now. We can dedicate our minds to knowing Him with our closing worship right now. Because understanding that in worship, we're basically inviting God into the room. Being a part of worship is like giving God a call. You ring Him, but He doesn't pick up, He shows up in the room. He shows up. So we can dedicate our minds to knowing Him, think clearly and truly about Him, and understand that it's more than facts or feelings, and let God into the room, into your rooms. Let Him take a tour. Let Him see around. Let Him change the things. Let Him fix the things that you need to see fixed. So yeah, like I said, we're going to close with worship. Let's get the homies up here.
All right, let's go, guys.
Whoa! Woo!